Systems Description Quiz. When must the rotor blades be refinished? The blades must be refinished when the paint erodes to bare metal at the skin to spar line. The bond may be damaged if the bond line is exposed. Above 4,000 feet, which system is less effective? The throttle, collective, correlator, and governor. Therefore, power changes should be slow and smooth. What must be done at high power settings above 4,000 feet? Since the throttle is commonly wide open, the RPM must be controlled with the collective. When must extra caution be taken with the RPM governor? When operating at high density altitudes, the governor may respond too slowly to adjust for gusts, pull-ups, or when lowering the collective. The governor must also be guarded when starting your engine on icy ground to prevent a spin. What is the operating pressure of the hydraulic system? 450 to 500 psi. What is the hydraulic system driven by? The hydraulic system is driven by the main gearbox. Will the hydraulic system circuit breaker turn off the hydraulic system? Nope. Electrical power is required to turn off the hydraulic system. With the hydraulic system turned off, what does movement on the cyclic do to the collective? Movement on the cyclic will lower the collective. Therefore, you have to raise the collective periodically. Does the rotor brake deactivate any circuits? Yes. It disengages the starter. It also is connected to the clutch so that when the rotor brake is applied, the clutch will not work. What is another name for the fuel system strainer? The gascolator. What will happen if either of the two fuel pumps fail during flight? The engine will function normally. What engages the auxiliary fuel pump? When the starter is in the prime position, or when there's oil pressure and the clutch switch is in the engaged position, the auxiliary pump will continue to run. How will the pilot know if the auxiliary fuel pump is not working? The auxiliary fuel pump light will be turned on. How will the pilot know if the mechanical fuel pump is not operating? If the engine is running and the clutch system is disengaged, the engine will shut off. The clutch shuts off the auxiliary pump and the mechanical pump isn't working, thus the engine receives no fuel. What will activate the low fuel caution light? An electric sender that's separate from the fuel gauge located on the bottom of the main fuel tank. What systems are connected to the battery directly that bypass the battery switch? The clock and both tachometers. However, the clutch must be engaged for both tachometers to be working. Can the alternator be used without the battery switch on? Not unless there's an emergency, since the battery system helps protect the electrical system from voltage spikes against the alternator. What must be activated before the landing lights will turn on? The clutch actuator switch must be engaged, and the light switch on the cyclic must be switched on. What does the pilot ISO mode do in the audio system? It isolates the pilot and the radio, while the co-pilot and the passengers maintain communication. What are the two positions for the detent switch to transmit? The first detent activates the intercom, but when pressed all the way, the pilot will transmit. Why does the low fuel light take approximately 2 seconds before illumination? It's on a time delay circuit to prevent sloshing fuel from giving false indications. How much landing gear strut up is allowable? Slight yielding is acceptable. However, when the tail skid is approximately 30 inches off the ground, when the helicopter is unloaded and light, is not acceptable, and cross tubing must be replaced. How long should the pilot wait to pull the rotor brake after pulling the mixture? After the mixture is pulled, the pilot should wait at least 30 seconds. Remember, when the brake is engaged, the starter is disabled. What will indicate that the carbon monoxide detector is malfunctioning? The CO light will flash every 4 seconds. What might cause a carbon monoxide sensor to fail? Using solvents, detergents, or aerosol sprays may damage the CO sensor. Temporarily tape off the top and bottom of the sensor housing when cleaning the interior.